In the end, they weren't able to thrash out that deal on three particular areas: denuclearization, on sanctions, and particularly that Yongbyon nuclear processing plant. That seemed to be one of the chief sticking points. Could that have been anticipated? Do you think that was always going to be the case, that essentially Kim was never going to dismantle that particular plant unless it was going to be for an enormous reduction in those sanctions, possibly removing all of them?
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to be unfair to the president and sort of second guessing too much, but I think most people in the analyst community would have told you that the North Koreans have spent, 50 years, 40 years developing these weapons, and they wouldn't trade them away or the facilities to build them unless they got a lot. I mean, nuclear weapons are really valuable for a small state like North Korea with a lot of opponents. A lot of countries don't like North Korea. The United States has attacked countries like Yugoslavia and Libya and Iraq in the last 20 years. And so if you're North Korea, nuclear weapons are a great deterrent. That doesn't mean the North Koreans won't deal for them, but it does mean they're going to ask for an awful lot. And I think the president, if he really wants to get the North Koreans to give up, a lot or maybe even all of their nuclear weapons, we're going to have to offer them something really, really dramatic. Probably more than just sanctions, maybe a big pile of money or something like that, U.S. troop withdrawals. I mean, these are really big existential issues for the North.
We had there Trump using the words, essentially, I don't want to say that it was my decision to stop those talks. I mean, that is probably as close as we're going to get to hearing that it was more Kim Jong-un's decision to leave the talks than Donald Trump's. Obviously, we've only heard from Donald Trump at this stage. But do you think if we were to hear from Kim, he would essentially say, it was me who walked out, and actually these talks crumbled at that point because Kim, in the end, was the sort of hardball player who was able to walk out of those talks?
Right. It increasingly does look like it was Kim that probably pulled the plug. Again, we just don't know, so I don't want to speculate too much. But, but the North Koreans are in a pretty good position here, right? I mean, they have the weapons. They work. They can probably strike the United States with them. They're just not going to give them up. If the Americans don't give them very much, then the North Koreans just fall back to the defensive crouch they've been in for many years. The North Koreans can continue to profit from the black market structure they've built in the last several decades. The North Korean elite will hang on. Now, I do think they want an opening, and I think Kim is willing to deal. But like I said before, the nuclear weapons are so valuable that unless the Trump people offer a lot, the North Koreans probably don't have to take the deal, and it increasingly looks like that's what happened. That the Trump side just didn't put enough on the table, and that Kim said it's not enough.